G'day YouTube, Warbles L1-e. That there is gearbox oil that's done 600 kilometres. There we have the high efficiency motor with the skid plate off. I've just been doing a little bit of maintenance today because now that I've got solar panels and lead acid gel cells and an inverter with which to charge the Talaria Sting L1-e, I can actually indulge myself in, yeah, look at that, got my red P plate about 500, 600 kilometres ago. I did 1500 kilometres before the P plate. But as I was saying, I can now indulge myself in going for a bit of a pleasure ride, and today I came home with 23% of a battery. And this was several hours ago, so I've already switched off once and therefore I can't show it to you on the computer. However, I did transcribe what this thing would show when I interrogated it. 2130 kilometres, nothing, 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 and nothing, because I haven't ridden it since I switched it off last time. And it's in economy mode rather than sport mode because I come up my driveway in economy mode so I don't get going too fast. But anyway, 23% remaining of a 2300 watt hour battery. And as those of you who are familiar with my channel will no doubt be prepared for and ready to forgive the old colonial vernacular, if nothing else, I am a bugger for logbooks. So yeah, 24th of the 10th, 2023, I first charged it. 8th of the 4th, 2024, I first actually started to ride the thing. So I've been riding for about 7 months and I've got 2,130 kilometres, or 2,100 and 2,130 kilometres. And as I was saying, I am a bugger for logbooks because my theory is if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Oops, you can't measure it if you don't write the bloody stuff down. So today I went for a bit of a ride. I went 60 kilometres. I started at 100% full because it was only like 3 days since last time I rode the bike and charged the bike, and that does kind of make a difference. The longer you leave it sitting here, the less current there is in the battery when you set sail at the start of the trip. Anyway, I got 42 kilometres per hour average speed over 60 kilometres. Yeah. 1 hour and 23 minutes, according to the computer, elapsed time while riding. And the maximum speed that the computer saw, and I actually saw it too, was 55 kilometres an hour, which sort of promotes a bit of a discussion. Can you see that there then now? 3.5 kilowatt hour, that's peak, and it's 45 kilometres an hour. What that kind of sort of means is that this is a 6,000 watt motor. It's deregulated via the computer that I think lives in there. So it can give you 3,500 watts of peak power while you're going up a hill if you weigh 100 kilograms and you're trying to do 45 kilometres an hour. If you're like me, skinny little old toothless, tasteless, mangy-looking recovering zombie with cancer cachexia, if you only weigh 60 kilograms, you're a bit of a lightweight on this thing. And I can maintain 49 kilometres an hour at full throttle on a level road, even against a slight headwind, yeah, until the battery's pretty much down to 80%. When the battery gets below 80%, your maximum speed starts to drop. And today I was coming home at 25% battery capacity remaining, and I was doing 43 kilometres an hour on a flat road. So it's a variable feast. But the point is, according to the manual, if you're going 40 kilometres an hour average, you can do 70 kilometres. I just did 60 at an average of 42, and I got home with 23% of a battery. If I wanted to flog my battery and come home on 5 to 10%, I could have gone an extra 5 kilometres further. And that would have added another 10 kilometres to the return trip. As it was, I went from here to Rangers Valley Feedlot, turned around and went to Dundee and looked at the highway, and then turned around and come back here in order to get 60 kilometres in one ride. 1 hour and 23 minutes from leaving the hut over there. Come on, compensate, 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 compensate. And getting back to my front gate. So considering that it takes me 33 kilometres round trip minimum to go to town, go to the post office, have a look on the Who's Dead Now wall, go and visit my son, go to Bilo and come home, 33 kilometres. Sometimes I come home on 35, 37, 38 or so, and I come home and I've usually got 58 to 48% of a battery remaining. I think this is actually quite feasible. I could, assuming I've got the bike fully charged, I could go to town in the morning, I could come home by about lunchtime, I could let the bike sit for half an hour, then I could use the current that these put into here, and they're 10 kilowatt hours at 24 volts, and pull that power out through this. Oh, look at that. Somebody forgot to turn the ignition off. The headlights are still on. Who's a naughty boy then? We will rectify that. So anyway, as I was saying, the juice that comes out of this goes into the batteries, goes into the inverter, and with a clamp meter onto here, and with the Bluetooth communication from there to tell me what the battery voltage is and how many amps at that volts are going into the inverter, I've been able to deduce that to run the 750 watt, this is the thermal protection kit which wraps up the bike on cold nights, but to run the 750 watt 60 volt battery charger, what actually happens is that 1.19 kilowatts goes out of the batteries into the inverter to make enough current to run the battery charger to put 750 watts into the motorbike. So it turns out that all up 81% of the electric current measured in watts, which comes out of the panels, goes through the batteries, through the inverter, and it reaches the motorbike charger. If we then go another 2 steps down the line, 75% of everything that comes out of those panels comes out from the motor's drive shaft and goes into this gear train where there's drive shaft gear, intermediate gear, and then there's another one which runs the jack shaft across to the chain sprocket drive. So there's something like 8.35 to 1 reduction drive between the motor and the back wheel. So your 3,000 watts worth of electricities becomes 24 horsepower at the back wheel. which sort of explains the 50 kilometre an hour or 30 miles per hour cruise speed, 49. The reason it's 49 is because this is registered as an electric motor scooter. Motor scooters are not allowed to have any more than a 50cc motor, and they are regulated so they can't go any faster than 50 kilometres an hour. Therefore, the computer in this won't let it go any faster than 49. The way I saw 55 today was with me chin down on the instrument panel, going down a hill with full throttle on, and the computer had already shut off all power to the motor, and I had too much in the battery to even think about regenerative braking, because that won't work when you've got more than 90% battery capacity occupied. So yeah, I was rolling down a hill at 55 kilometres an hour. And it feels good. Cancer didn't kill me, so I bought an electric motorcycle. And like Robert M. Persig in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, I'm sort of kind of getting into it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it costs some money, but it won't drive me from here to Armidale. It will take me to Deepwater, it will take me to Dundee, it will take me to Glen Innes. If I really want to, I suppose I can take the charger and go to Emerville and beg 2 or 3 hours of somebody else's grid power and come back, or I can buy another battery and put it in a trailer. And once I've been on that red P plate for a year, then I'm going to be allowed to ride with a trailer. At the moment I can't. So therefore, thus and because the commercially available bicycle trailer, which I purchased before I got sexually transmitted clitoris lickers cancer 3 years ago, the trailer that I thought I was going to go into town and do my grocery shopping with, it's still there. I thought I was going to drag that trailer attached to the tow bar on my 250 watt Tebco Discovery, which, yeah, okay, it's in perfect condition and it's only done 397 kilometres. And yeah, while I was off getting the cancer cooked, I did 176 kilometres on that thing around the Cancer Institute car park. So technically, that electric bicycle has cured 1 case of terminal cancer. I really wish somebody had come and buy it from me. But yeah, that's why the trailer's still there. And at the moment, I'm only using bicycle pannier bags, and therefore about once a week, at least, I'm taking the Subaru to town and burning 2.8 litres in the Subaru. But every time I ride the electric motoring cycle on solar power, I'm saving 2.8 litres. If I was to go to town 5 times a week just to be sociable, visit friends, say good day, well, that's what, 15 litres per week, 750 litres a year, 2.5 kilograms of atmospheric fossil carbon emissions per litre. Yeah, that's like 2 and a bit tonnes of fossil carbon emissions I can organise to not shit in the sky just going to town for bread and milk if I haven't bought myself an electric motoring cycle, a Chook Chaser level electric motor scooter, and enough solar panels and batteries and charge controller and inverter to charge the bike. Marginal tokenism, tokenal marginalism, or just virtue signalling? I don't know. But if I don't do it, who the fucking hell else is going to give it a go? I know one other person in this town, shire, Glen Innes 7 district. I know one other person who's got enough solar panels on their roof to charge their Tesla, and they go to town 50 kilometres in and out and work a job in town and live out of town on their solar powered Tesla. One other person. I don't work, but I feed a lot of bread to the kangaroos. Now I've got to finish doing the oil change before I lose my light. And then after I lose my light, that's when I'll charge up the motorbike so I can sit there with my Bluetooth connection to the inverter and I can see exactly how much power is going into the battery charger. And I know the battery charger is 92% efficient, in theory. Maybe it's the inverter that's 92%, and we'll find out. Anyway, it doesn't do well if you just blindly accept the figures in the brochure. I think you really need to put some instrumentation into play and find out what's going on. But yeah, it seems to me like 81% of everything that comes out of the panels as electricity gets into the lithium-ion battery of the motorbike, and 75% of everything that comes out of the panels actually goes into the gearbox. Can't tell you how efficient the gearbox is or the chain drive and all the rest of it, but you might be looking at 65 to 70% overall electromechanical transportive efficiency between the solar panels and the back wheel. And I've just spent my whole life since I was 17 motoring around the countryside in internal combustion powered vehicles in which 25% of what I put into the carburetor comes out the crankshaft and talks to the gearbox and the drivetrain to get to the wheels. 25%, somewhere between 65 and 70% of everything coming out of the solar panels getting to the back wheel. Okay, it doesn't go as fast as a petrol-powered motorbike. It doesn't go as far as a petrol-powered motorbike. It goes twice as bloody far as I ever need to go in one day, and it'll do that twice in one day. I can come home from town and charge it up on last night's energy and then ride off to town while the solar panels recharge the batteries in the afternoon. And anything that I need to make up, it'll be made up in the morning. Well, if I wanted to, yeah, I could go to town twice a day on it. And as far as I'm concerned, anybody who says, oh yes, but it won't do blah, 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 they've missed the fucking point. The point is what it will do without being connected to a petrol bowser with a pipeline going to Cargill Island, Dubai, Singapore or Venezuela. It's Dutch circuitry in the electronics. I don't know whether it's European or Chinese batteries. It's certainly Chinese solar panels. And there's the thing. You see that dark blue panel on the right-hand side? Hang on a minute. There you go. It's a silicon panel, and I bought that thing in about 1999 or 2000, 25 years ago. It cost me $11 per watt rated output, and they said it was a 30-watt solar panel. But it was rated at 28 degrees air temperature, and solar panels run at 50 to 70 degrees because the sun's on them. So it only ever actually produced about 15 watts, $330 for a 15-watt actual panel. And I bought it from New England Solar. These are 440-watt 24-volt panels. And when they were first hooked up, and the batteries are fresh from the factory, and they were hooked up at about 1 o'clock, and that would be local apparent time midday. So they were in their best possible situation with a flat battery to feed and midday clear blue sky overhead. They were putting out 875 watts, might have been 877, out of a maximum 880 because they're 440 watts each. And they were $350 per panel plus $35 GST. So $380 for that, 440 watts, $330 for that, 15 watts, 25 years ago. That is the difference in solar technology. Progress is not always bullshit, but sometimes production engineering is, as those of you who are familiar with my channel will have heard me say before. Spend as much as you can possibly afford to buy the best technology you can get a hold of, because at some point in time, probably fairly soon, access to such shit is going to go away. I can't tell you precisely exactly how it's going to go away, but I just can't see the existing logistics supply pipelines continuing to remain in place. I can remember when there were 3 billion people on the planet in 1961 when I was born. They chose and voted and decided to become 8 billion. And the whole time they've all chosen, voted and decided to maximise the convenience for themselves in their lifestyle by increasing the amount of fossil carbon that the economy extracts and burns. So everybody who's currently complaining about global warming, if they voted to grow the economy, they voted for this. How many Spaniards who are living on the proceeds of what their ancestors stole from the world in the colonial era are now complaining because they've just had a summer of bushfires, burnt them out, and now the storms are washing them out to sea? For the sea level rise falls down from the skies, washing climate denial away, away, washing climate denial away, hooray, washing science denial away. The sea doesn't rise up gently. It falls down on top of a mountain and washes everybody who thought it was inconvenient to pay attention to it, just washes them out to sea. So try not to live in the middle of a watercourse. Try to live somewhere where you've got a little bit of shelter from the wind. And hope and pray that when the creator God theory of the universe applies extreme, intense, record-breaking weather phenomenon to everybody who deserves it, let's just hope that there's a sniper's rifle involved and not a fucking blunderbuss. Because if I get hammered with the same treatment that everybody who voted for the Liberal Party, the Labor Party, the National Party and Pauline Hanson's party, if I get hit with the same charge that's aimed at them, I'm fucked. So, thou shalt not put the Lord thy God theory to the test, but hey, what else can one do? Run off past the outside edge of a civilization one fails to fit into and try to first do no harm. And if that means not buying a fossil fueled vehicle and paying in advance for all of the energy it's ever going to consume in the cost of the solar, electric, lead acid, gel cells and shit needed to charge it, well, at least that means I can go to town and get the bread to feed the kangaroos and the swamp wallabies and the birds who have grown up here for 30 years treating me as their grandfather, pet, tame, family human, somebody who's safe to hang out with and prepared to share their food. We will see how long the system will continue on. But at the moment, I had a really good day today. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao. And a good day was had by all.